I know literally nothing about Rice Shower from Umamusume, so we're gonna be checking out the video essay before we check out A Little Prayer. So I'm excited to find out more about her.
Does it mean
and special
to
thanks
win?
to my paid
In
members on
Umamusume,
YouTube.
it means placing first in your race, besting the competition. Sometimes fan favorites win their respective races, and other times someone can challenge their position, upsetting the odds and emerging victorious. But what happens when this individual fears the results of winning? Instead of embracing victory, she rather shies away from it.
You know, I kind of relate to her in that sense where you overthink it so much to the point that it brings you anxiety. Like, what if I do succeed? Then what's going to happen after that? Then do I need to do this and this and that? And so you end up sabotaging yourself rather than pushing yourself harder. That's what she sounds like so far. Do you also have those moments where you self-sabotage?
In finding strength to win against all odds, she's instead saddened by the dreams of others she's tarnished. An Uma with a pure heart, who truly wants to see everyone happy, even at the cost of her own. This is the story of Rice Shower, personified in Umamusume from a tragic story of real-life events. Rice Shower.
To make it easier, I'm just gonna have the thing up, but it does make me wonder though. Obviously in the world of Umamusume, their job is to essentially win competitions. But then if we think of it in a more broader sense, like for real life, what does it mean to win in life? Let me know what your thoughts are on what it means to win in life, because obviously for Umamusume, it's very clear, it's very simple. You have to place first place, basically, or place first in the competition. But for people like us in real life, it's a little bit more difficult and more nuanced than that. So I'm quite curious what you guys would define winning as to be. Okay, so going back, I think we're around here.
Is the story of Rice Shower, personified in Umamusume from a tragic story of real-life events. Rice Shower is a racehorse named after the tradition of rice throwing at weddings in Japan, a symbol of good luck in Japanese culture. His first race was on August 8, 1991 at the Nagita racecourse. Rice Shower would place first in this race, instantly captivating an audience of onlookers. Though his second race would end at the back of the pack, the next race Rice Shower participated in on September 21, 1991 would be another victory for the newcomer. This time, Rice Shower claimed victory at the 1991 Fuyo Stakes, held at the Nakayama racecourse. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, Pyrex, this seems like a simple story of a new racehorse building an audience by seizing victory. Though, you're not wrong in this statement. It's the career wins that come next that will make Rice Shower infamous in the racing world. From October 1991 to 1992, Rice Shower competed in a total of 6 additional races, placing second or below at each one. It would be at the Kika show race held in Kyoto that would shake the racing world in Japan. Just like in Umamusume, the real-life counterparts also had a hierarchy of favoritism on who would come out on top. For this race, held on November 8, 1992, Rice Shower was the second favorite to win. The favorite of the Kika show was Mihono Bourbon, the Rito-based racehorse with an undefeated race history up until this point. From Bourbon's debut in 1991 up until the Kika show, he remained a strong pillar, a hometown hero for the Kyoto area. Rice Shower, having trained in the East, was widely seen as an invader from Kanto, a narrative driven by the media mainly to drum up drama and hype around the highly anticipated race. Even in the anime, all the Umas may have rivalries, but they're never malicious towards one another. This is another example of that sense.
That's what I liked.
All the coverage of this race garnered countless eyes of the hometown hero versus the foreign invader. I've tried to find footage of this race in particular, but all that remains are records of the final outcome. Rice Shower would upset all odds, placing first in the Kika show. This would come as a major blow to fans of the fan favorite, Mihono Bourbon. For context, Bourbon had competed in a total of 4 races previously against Rice Shower, placing first.
I mean, when you think about it though, it also depends on the horse's condition along with the person riding them, right? It could have just been that maybe they were equal in power and strength and the stats in general, but then it just so happened that That day, Rice Shower was in peak condition while Bourbon wasn't in like peak condition at all. It could always be that if the stats between the two are pretty equal, I suppose. I don't know how to say it. Stats.
First in every single one. So it comes as no surprise that he'd be the fan favorite at the Kiko show. This would also be Bourbon's final race in their career. And
that makes sense. If it's their final race, that means, yeah, Bourbon's not really in the highest peak condition at that point. I mean, they could be, but it's also likely that they wouldn't be because it's their final race.
An undefeated legacy shattered by an invader from the east. An overall race record of 7-1 over the course of 8 races total. After the major upset of the Kiko show, Rice Shower raced in 3 more competitions from December 1992 to March 1993. Aside from the Nikkei show, held on March 21st, 1993, Rice Shower would have an unremarkable performance after defeating Bourbon. Then, the sun rose over the Kyoto racetrack once more on April 25th, 1993. Just like before, Rice Shower was seen as the second favorite to win this race.
And
once again,
Rice Shower didn't
bested
win
by popular vote by another Rito racehorse. This time, on the same race course that Rice Shower defeated Bourbon on, he'd be racing against Mejiro McQueen. This race is actually depicted in the anime, and truly personifies the reason why Rice Shower acts the way she does both in the series and in Umamusume Pretty Derby. If you haven't trained Rice Shower, I'll give it to you as simply as I can.
Okay.
She is incredibly difficult to train. Rice Shower in the anime is very hard on herself and sees any misfortunes that fall on others as a fault of her own. There are events in the game where she'll attribute any negative happening to anyone as her own personal fault.
Dang,
even
that
with her
sounds like it
outwardly
would be
kind-hearted
really hard
exterior and determination to win.
to train for
Instead
sure.
of cheers, the audience remained a distant murmur. Rice Shower, when racing against McQueen in the Tenno show, would once again upset all odds, toppling yet another racehorse with an impressive track record. Though not as impressive as Bourbon's, McQueen had claimed several first-place finishes and had risen to being a fan favorite. To many, McQueen was the one who toppled the invader from the east who stole Bourbon's final win.
I do kind of wonder though, let me actually check what the previous races were held. It was right here. Okay, so Arima Kinen, Meguro Kinen, Nikkei Sho. I assume those are not in Kyoto. I do wonder if Rice Shower just so happens to be extremely compatible with the Kyoto weather and the racetrack there, which is why he keeps winning whenever he goes there. That could be a possibility, right? Then again, I don't really know where these are held, so if you have more information about that, please let me know down below. Now going back.
The invader from the east who stole Bourbon's final win. This race, once again, is shown in full in the anime. As another fun fact, Umamusume actually adapts the real-life lines from commentators of the race.
Wait, so let me see.
Instead of cheers, the audience remained a distant murmur. Rice
Although it
Shower,
makes me really
racing
sad that
against McQueen in the Tenno show,
people wouldn't really cheer
would once
her
again
on.
upset all odds, toppling yet another racehorse with an impressive track record. Though not as impressive as Bourbon's, McQueen had claimed several first-place finishes and had risen to being a fan favorite. To many, McQueen was the one who toppled the invader from the east who stole Bourbon's final win. This race...
Personally, I'm the type that likes to cheer on the underdog. So I would be the one who would cheer for Rice Shower instead of the fan favorite. I'm so rebellious. What about you?
Once again, is shown in full in the anime. As another fun fact, Umamusume actually adapts the real-life lines from commentators of the race. To say this was a major upset would be a drastic understatement.
Yeah,
it was a devastating
clearly.
blow to the pride of the West. Not once, but twice, had Rice Shower assassinated the victory of the hometown heroes he raced against. This earned Rice Shower the nickname Black Assassin, and began the solidification of his infamy on the racetrack. In the anime, fans comment on how Rice Shower will be the heel once again, directly taking inspiration from real-life events. Rice Shower, both in Umamusume and in real life, is often labeled as a heel who shattered others' dreams. In the anime,
But that's
Rice
so-
Shower states mid-race that she won't be the heel, but instead, the hero. With this, Rice Shower passes McQueen with the final spurt of the race, taking victory
Yeah.
over yet another fan favorite.
I'm glad she said that.
The audience didn't cheer, didn't clap, but instead began booing Rice Shower.
No.
Distant murmurs can be heard of a disappointed audience who were unsatisfied with the final outcome. Rice Shower in the anime had set a record time, which also reflects real-life events once more. Despite the record-setting race and the amazing performance, Rice Shower received nothing but glaring eyes from the audience.
That makes me so angry. Like, it's a horse. At least I get it, like, for the people that probably lost a lot of money from voting on the wrong horse or on the fan favorite. Okay, yeah, I get it. But, like, at least show some good sportsmanship and clap. You know, at least the race finished and, you know, things happened that... But I get it. It's like and this is not just like Japan actually, but in a lot of sports related things, whenever their favorite loses, there's just so much negativity to the point that I'm just like, can't you just enjoy it the way it is? But I understand for many people it's like a super serious thing. But when it's like something like this, where it's a horse, like, do you really need to give boos? It just shows that she's very compatible with the racetrack and was in peak condition. Just so happened that she beat, or I guess he technically beat, the fan favorites. Of course, it's all a matter of pride, so I do understand. It's just I wish people were less negative about outcomes sometimes. But, you know, I do get it if you, like, put in so much money and you're like, they're gonna win, and then they lose. Then okay, I guess I can understand at that point. And the peak lesson to learn is to just not gamble.
Though McQueen and a few others
I say that
clapped for
as
her
someone
in
who
the
plays
anime,
gacha games.
it can't shake the feeling Rice has from taking yet another person's dream away from them. When we're
See, I'm glad that at least in Umamusume people clapped. I mean, obviously it doesn't change the fact that she feels like she took away someone's dreams, but technically it's their job to try to get first place anyways, so whether it's a dream or not, you're just doing your job at that point, right? So maybe not. It's so hard when it comes to competitions and your job has to do with that, because there can always be a lot of toxicity depending on the sport. Actually, no, in general with a lot of sports competition, there's a lot of toxicity amongst the fans, which I do hope that it doesn't like affect the actual competitors themselves too much, although that's just a wishful dream or wishful thinking for that matter. I do understand the passion though, and I do admire it, but sometimes it gets taken too far to the point that it makes me feel really bad for the people competing, or if it's out of their hands, such as if the judges themselves or the people who are organizing the competition are rigging the games, or, you know, doing something very unethical, then that's when that anger should go towards, for sure. I agree with that. But for the ones that were like fair game, I feel like it's always appropriate to at least, you know, clap for the end, and then you could talk about like, oh darn, I wish she had won, or I wish she had won, kind of thing. At least that's how I feel personally. I do wonder how you guys, you know, think about the situation, or how you would react, or what you think would have been better, you know, considering the fact that it's not like anything was being rigged here.
retreating away from the racetrack, Rice is clearly disheveled. She had won the race, but still had upset thousands of people who were there to witness her loss. The beautiful thing about Umamusume is how they show the next scene. It isn't a random trainer nor Uma that comes to comfort Rice. It is instead Mihono Bourbon, the very same one who Rice defeated at the Kika show. Instead of glorifying her own win, Rice Shower is completely devastated.
優勝おめでとう、ライス。またたくさんの夢を壊してしまいました。それが勝つということです。勝負ですからね。
Exactly, it's a competition.
誰かは傷つき、夢破れる。 そういうものです。ブーイングって痛いですね。
Yeah, see, booing does hurt. Like, at the very least, clap, even if you're unhappy about the results. You know, like everyone tried their best, right? as someone that had to go into a competition before, it's a lot of energy and work and focus that you have to do. And when people boo, it just feels horrible. Personally, I mean, if you did your best and you were the unexpected person who won, and then you hear a bunch of booing, and doesn't it feel like they like spat on all of the hard work that you put into? It's kind of like one of those things where you're like, if you were in my position before, then you would be a bit more empathetic, even if you might not have wanted the person to win. And you would have treated them a little bit more with empathy rather than with harsh words and booing. But again, I do understand why the audience does that. But at the same time, it's a little irritating that they can't like at least celebrate the end of the competition and then talk shit. If I'm gonna put it like nicely. I mean, no, that's not nicely, but either way.
ブーイングはチャレンジャーの勲章です。傷つく人
What? Being booed is an honor when you're the challenger? I mean, okay, yeah, I guess that's a good way to think of it since it's not like you can control what the audience does, but still!
勲章です。傷つく必要はありません。でもいつかこれが歓喜と祝福の声になる日は
I hope so.
あなたが勝ち続ければきっと。だってあなたの名前はライスシャワーなんですから。
That's true.
Even after all the effort she put into winning, all the countless hours she spent training, she felt guilty for toppling others' dreams. In every race that we run with our Umas, that's something else to think about. With the victory you claim, it shatters the hopes of another. This is the reality of competition, as Bourbon states.
Pretty much.
In the anime, Rice Shower and Bourbon are actually very close friends, and the spirit of competition is only present when they're on the racetrack. It's an uplifting choice of direction to depict these two being so close despite the major upset that came with Bourbon's defeat. Though this is a beautiful end.
I do think, let me actually turn this on. For some reason it was causing me issues. But I do think that their depiction of them being close is a good thing, because when you see something like this, then you're less likely to be toxic towards the one that wins or loses, even if they might not necessarily be your favorite, which is a positive direction to go for, personally. It makes me happy to see that.
In the animated Rice Shower story, the real-life counterpart of this Uma had a far sadder ending.
No.
Following the Tenno show, Rice Shower would continue to race, but would have an unremarkable placement for the next 9 races he participated in, ranging from September of 19...
Okay, let me see. So Nakayama, Tokyo, Nakayama. I assume it's this, the colored one, or all of these are placings? Maybe. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. But it seems like, let's see. Nakayama, Tokyo, Nakayama. I thought maybe it was just Kyoto that could have been when they would win the most, but yeah, it seems like it's quite mixed from what I can see, or something along those lines.
To March of 1995. This only solidified Rice Shower's image of ruining greatness due to his major wins being upsets like McQueen's and Bourbon's. Then came yet another major event in Rice Shower's career. On April 23rd of 1995, Rice Shower competed in the Spring Tenno show, once more on the very same racetrack where Rice shattered the dreams of many. During this time, the Kansai region had been recovering from a devastating Hushin earthquake which occurred in January. A mourning region washed as Rice Shower began the race at the Spring Tenno show. At the final spurt, once more, Rice Shower seized another victory in the Kyoto racecourse. Instead of receiving silence and boos, this time, Rice Shower was greeted with the applause and outward cries of the audience. This victory meant a lot for the Kansai region, and
Oh, that makes me so relieved. Especially since, Raisha had to deal with so many booing, which honestly kind of upset me when I heard that. I mean, I do know that most sports things are like that, but still, maybe because I personally don't go to sports events, even if I might watch it online or on TV. But it's upsetting to hear like, oh, they were booed, or they were cussed out or whatever for winning. But here, it's such a nice comeback. But then again, he says sad endings. I don't know.
It's a source of hope and inspiration for a grieving region. With a legacy that began an upset, Reischauer now has solidified himself as a hero. Due to Reischauer's rising popularity, he was considered to be placed in the Takarazuka Kinen race. Due to unstable conditions at the Hashin racecourse, the Takarazuka was moved to Kyoto, the place where Reischauer had been both a savior and a spoiler. Previously, Reischauer, as per their handler's choice, were planning to retire him after the Spring Tenno show. However, seeing the public support of the racehorse caused them to reconsider. So, on June 4th, 1995, Reischauer would take the racecourse once more. With countless fans supporting him, Reischauer and his jockey, Matoba, planned to give it their all once again. Sadly though, this would be Reischauer's final race, and the final time anyone would see Reischauer alive. Matoba, Reischauer's jockey, stated following this race that he could sense something was off. This was not the time to win, but to instead tread lightly. The safety of Reischauer was his top priority. However, Reischauer had other plans in mind. As Matoba attempted to keep Reischauer at the back of the pack, after the third turn, he suddenly accelerated by himself. This resulted in Reischauer tripping, sending Matoba off the horse. As the race continued, one of the most tragic outcomes unfolded for this newfound hero. Reischauer had suffered a comminuted fracture on his front leg and foot, as well as a dislocation. In most cases, horses are moved off the racetrack and tend to away from the racecourse.
Yeah, that
Sadly,
would make more sense.
The injuries were too severe to even move Reischauer, and so a curtain was placed around Reischauer, and he was euthanized on the very racetrack that made him a hero. Matoba, though injured, remained by Reischauer, witnessing the whole process unfold. When Reischauer's body was carried away, Matoba bowed deeply for his longtime partner. Reischauer's groom, Kawashima, could not stop crying at the sudden loss. A symbol of hope who brought many newfound inspiration, had been snuffed out at the very same racetrack which garnered him so much love and hatred. Unsurprisingly, Reischauer's death became the headline news in Japan's sports, and several monuments were created in honor of him. One in Utopia Farm, where Reischauer was born, and the other at the Kyoto racecourse. At the end of the year in 1995, the JRA gave a special award to Reischauer, commemorating the racehorse, and in 2010, Kikasho was also renamed to the Reischauer Memorial. Fans gathered to this day to pay their respects to Reischauer, displaying their gratitude and mourning his loss. Though Reischauer sadly met a tragic demise, the legacy of this racehorse lives on both in the hearts of his dedicated fans and personified as a kind-hearted Uma in Umamusume. So the next time Reischauer gives you a little trouble while training, keep this video in mind. The legacy of this horse is shaped after one of many ups and downs. This was the story of Reischauer, a racehorse.
I do wonder if Reischauer, the actual horse, sensed that it was their final horse, so they wanted to give it their all instead of, potentially living the rest of their life not on the racetracks. Which is why in the end, he ended up falling and then being euthanized on the spot. But perhaps in some ways, it is a good thing for Reischauer. And obviously, getting injured and then having to die there is not a good thing. But from the horse's perspective, rather than living the rest of their life out in the stables, I do wonder if he would have preferred to just die on the race where he feels the most alive. That could be a possibility, And especially since it's on the racetrack that he is the most compatible with, it could be a possibility. Not that we would be able to know for sure, but the fact that Rice Shower, instead of listening to his jockey, just starts to speed up on his own, goes to show that maybe for him this was not just a job, obviously, but a passion and something that he didn't want to be away from. Perhaps to him, the retirement that he had earlier before being brought back was not what made him the most happy. Even if, it's a very comfortable life, perhaps his heart lied in the race course itself, especially the one where he would win multiple times and upset many people. I'm still kind of sad that he only got the cheers twice, although the last one is the one where he dies, but it makes me wish he could have at least gotten some level of clapping and respect for all the efforts and things like that when he first won the first 2 times, but I guess it really can't be helped. I am glad though that Rice Shower was able to give a lot of significance and I guess emotional depth for empathy and things like that for the audience at the time, especially after the natural disaster, or I think it was natural disaster, right? That happened. Either way, the tragic incidents that happened. On that note, I'm really happy. But this does bring the question of, are you the type of person to give boos, or are you the type to at least acknowledge the winner's efforts, even if you are upset? Especially for sports. I feel like sports is one of the most sensitive topics for many people, especially when it comes to the teams that you have, taking it too personal, or at least making it as if it's their identity instead of it being for entertainment or things like that. It's always interesting to see the psychological behavior of others when it comes to when they're at a competition, participating in it, or if they're watching a competition, and when they're not even, not doing anything to do with the sports. The different behaviors from everyone can be quite interesting to look at and analyze, and just being so you are that type of person. Anyways, let's check out Rice Shower's
one who both stole
song.
Dreams and inspired them, who invoked hatred and hope. Who would you like to see
such a
next
strong
on the
word,
series?
though.
This was a very rough ride to write, but I'd love to delve into more in the future. Thank you all for joining me, and as always, I'll see you all in the next one.
Now, before I do go on, please be sure to support the original creator, and thank you, Pyrex, I think that's what you said that your name was. Thank you again for allowing me to react to your video. Thank you for the permission. And now we listen to a little prayer. Sasayaka na inori. And that's what I said. My kanji.
三日月あなたも迷う時があるの
Oh, her voice is exactly how I thought it would sound. It sounds so sweet. Oh, I almost teared up with the video essay, so now I'm kind of scared how this is going to affect me. But let's listen to her beautiful voice again.
三日月あなたも迷う時があるの
Yes, there have been times.
かざせば今夜もたおやかな光おぼろげにただ浮かぶ明かりを
It's interesting to see how it's so blue and then the purple usages. When you think of blue, you think of calm or, depression or sadness. Purple also brings about similar feelings. But here it feels very lonely, probably because she's also alone on stage. But the fact that she's like singing and walking and alone makes you experience the loneliness that she could have had on her journey. And when you think about it, yes, she had her jockey, but in reality, she was pretty much alone because of the fact that no one really cheered her on, especially in the big competitions. They're mostly just there for other umas, but for her, she was always alone. So it felt like she was walking alone on her path. And that's the kind of feeling I'm getting here. That's a very smart use of the lighting right here. See, she was about to grab onto the light right here, but it faded away because to her, even if she does win, it's not like it's something that she wanted to do, which is taking away someone's hopes and dreams, at least in her point of view. Now, before I go on further, I just wanted to point out something. So, when she comes over here, this particular part reflects the suffocating feeling that she probably had, where she just was never happy because even if she wins, for her, she can only focus on the fact that she made another person lose their dreams. And usually you would depict that with like the feeling of being in the water where you can't breathe and you can't go up and it feels like you're drowning. That's probably the feeling that she was getting. But then she accepts it, I believe, at this point, which is why the blue becomes orange and yellow, which is a very warm color. So it lightens up your mood and, well, maybe not particularly, especially when you know her background, but either way, it gives you a light, uplifting feeling where this is probably the switch of when she was starting to get loved by the others, perhaps. What's interesting, and she does say things in a more positive way here, which obviously indicates her change in mindset. But I love the way that this particular part where she sees the light. Let me actually find it, that particular part. I think it was around here. Let me actually play it. There it is. So do you see like the lights? It feels like she's finally seeing hope in some ways. I mean, obviously, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I do like the usage of the lights here where it just looks like stars if you think about it, the sun. And she talks about, the sky, and I think it was like throwing her wish to the sky or something along those lines. I wasn't like reading it too hard, but it feels like that could particularly mean like the sky. And if you look at it, the purple could become blue, which can be like a sky color. Maybe that's overdoing it. But either way, you do see the sky up there, so I guess it works out, probably. But I do like how everything's very bright and it feels like a sunny day for her. That was perfect. The moment she said, I'm not going to cry anymore, or before she says, nakanayo, the tear falls, and then she says that she's not going to cry anymore because that was her last tear. I think it was like right here. Yeah, see? Very good planning with evoking the emotions more, especially for those that know what she's singing too. It probably hits them even harder. I do think that before she, despite the fact that she thinks that she doesn't like taking people's dreams away when she wins, I do feel like she is probably the most herself though when she's actually racing. Because I believe there was a point in the video essay that said that she puts her all basically when she's on the racing tracks, and that's clearly the case. So it doesn't mean that she hates like the actual racing aspect. I guess she just doesn't like the idea of having to, I guess, fight against others to get something. Although for her, maybe first place isn't exactly what she cared most about. It could just be that she just enjoys racing itself and does her best because she enjoys it. And because she's not greedy for first place or things like that, or winning the entire competition, maybe that's even more fitting when we think of how exactly Rice Shower, the actual horse, ended up at the end. I don't know her character too much in Umamusume if it actually is like that, but it would be an interesting depiction if they did depict it like that, regardless of her like insecurities and things like that. It's very cute. Also, you can see right here. Oh, I just realized it's the rice shower in the back. The white circles here, they're all rice, literally showering down on her for luck and blessing. And if you think of gold or yellow and orange, it's like a very lucky, rich color, which fits well with the turn of events for her. But obviously the end is back to purple because, probably has to do with being able to see the rice shower better, but also maybe it could be a depiction of, or actually maybe that's too much. But either way, I do like how it's no longer gold at that point, like starting from this point on. It's more, not orange, purple. It's more purple with the background screen. Almost as if she's one with the audience now. And no longer bothered by anything else. And I think she says arigato, right? Thank you at the very end. But it's very sweet with the way that she goes from here where it's very dark, blue, purple, and then super bright right here. Can't help but appreciate the differences in her switch in mindset. Hey, be sure to click on the playlist right here on the screen, you see right there, and give this a like, comment below, subscribe, and share. And so you can see more videos like this one. Bye! Oh, gotta love that part.